I hope that you're having an awesome day. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about being yourself in the world and how that can look, and how sometimes we don't do it because we aren't used to doing it. We quite often are programmed without realising that we're programmed to be the good girl or the good boy, to be the good employee, the good mum, the whatever it is. And I wanted to just talk a little bit on that today, because I think it is taking all of the uniqueness away from our world, and it's keeping us in a very thin lane that maybe is the reason why so many people are unhappy. So if this sounds like something for you, stay tuned. I'm just going to touch on a few things that I see as a problem, as a solution, as a reason for, and that may just trigger something in your mind to help you to be happy. Hi, my name is Susan. I'm from Smarting Coaching. I'm a life coach, a mum, a grandmother, a wife, just a person. I'm 53. I've lived a bit of life, and I like to share some wisdom that I've found that I think would have been helpful for me to have somebody to tell me in my life, to help me to just change my perspective, that would have brought a bit more joy and a bit more happiness to life, and would have encouraged me to be myself a long time before I turned 50, which is when I started to properly step into being myself. So we can keep up with the Joneses in lots of ways when we think that we aren't. We can lock ourselves into being the good employee, the good person, going for the reward, whatever it is, the carrot stick version in today's society that we never actually reach, but we're always going for. And it's, why do we do that? And why we are doing it, and how that is making us unhappy. So there are set things, even in school, you get the reward for being good, the reward for doing a whole term without having a day off, the reward for doing a whole year without having the day off, the reward for doing your homework, and all of those sorts of things. And I can see all of the reasons why that's important and why it's good to have a reward, because some people like to have a reward to head towards, and that gives them a great feeling. Work is the same. The employee of the month, the person who's sold this, done that, not had a day off ever, not missed a meeting, whatever it happens to be, always reach the KPIs. All of those sorts of things are things that we go for to reach. And I see that that's a really great thing, and it's a really great thing as a business model and brilliant. But as a person, as an individual in society, I think that we are somehow herded into a very specific lane of how to be by these rewards that are given out there. And I didn't ever see this until I was in my 50s, to see the other perspective of it, and how that sort of trains us and gets us used to being what everybody else wants us to be, and gets us used to having external validation for whatever it is that we're doing. And so then, as you get further and further in life, there are less and less and less and less places that you're going to receive external validation. And if that's what you're counting on to keep you feeling good and whole and like you're doing the right thing and like you're a great person, as those validations fall away and there's nowhere, you can find yourself lost and floundering, because there's nobody externally telling you, you're doing a great job, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing something else. And I think that's where we're finding a lot of people in life now, because everything is geared towards ticks and criteria. And, I even see people whose babies are in the whatever percentile for whatever, and parents having a little bit of a pile on each other about where their baby sits, and my baby's here and my baby's there, when really every baby develops on their own. Your baby's your baby, their baby is their baby. It's not a measure of being better or worse, or a bad parent or a good parent. Babies grow as they grow, people grow as they grow. But this society doesn't let us do that. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to say this. It's really awesome to have all those sorts of things, but it doesn't allow us the space to step outside that little lane we're being herded into so that we get the ticks. I know everybody's not aiming for the ticks. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. And then there's that whole group that are anti-ticks, anti-everything, that will go completely in the opposite direction of all of those criteria. And that in itself is a form of rebellion, and it's brilliant, but that also can be detrimental to the other end of the extreme, because then you don't take anything from anywhere, you don't take any instruction, and it can cause you again to feel not like yourself. So when you want to do things that are different, sometimes you need a day off. Sometimes your child just needs to not be at school for no reason other than they're just not themselves. They just need a day out to sit and play and de-stress. Sometimes you need a day from work. Sometimes you just need a day from your life, right? Where you sit and binge watch Netflix and eat marshmallows and drink coffee and lay on the couch and do nothing and have takeaways for dinner, and it's all one of those days. But so many people shun you for doing anything like that because you've got to keep on the wheel and you've got to keep in the lane and you've got to do all the ways. So I just wanted to say this. When we're chasing somebody else's idea of, like I said, being in that lane, somebody else's idea of the criteria, to me, that can sometimes rub up against your moral compass. I know for me, I've worked in some jobs in the past in industries where I couldn't go back and work there now because to meet the KPIs, to do all the things that I needed to do to maintain my job, went against everything morally within me. And one of the last jobs that I worked in banking, I walked away because I couldn't meet those criteria and be able to sleep at night. They were not the criteria that I wanted to meet. That was not how I wanted to do business. I went away to training at a major centre, saw the next 10-year plan for what banking was going to be, and this was in 2014, I think. And I stepped out because I was like, no, that's not, I can't be a part of that and go home and sleep at night. That rips at my moral compass. Now that's just me. I'm not speaking against anyone who does any of those things or whatever, but for me, for my individuality, I couldn't be who I was, caring, compassionate, empathetic, and push that sort of a thing. The same is in sales and things like that. You have to be toe on the line and in there and in that lane, and you don't step outside that lane and be individual. So as kids, we don't want to be not part of the pack. We want to be in the pack. And as parents, sometimes we add to that with our children by spending $100 on that drink bottle that everybody in the group has, even though we can't afford it, but we don't want our child to be on the outer. Whereas that could be the first lesson of being an individual. You know, I still drink my drink at school just the same in my $5 Kmart cup as I do in that $100 name brand one. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still getting water. You're not in the group, you're not part of the group. Maybe some of those people in that group are just waiting for the first person to get the Kmart one so that they can step out too, because really they aren't able to be an individual in that group either. It's like the big birthday parties that we have where there's, a horse and carriage and a petting zoo and, catering for the 5-year-old's party. If you're in that group of friends and you can't afford that, it can feel really, really awful, but you might go to the ends of your means to be able to put that on so that you still remain in the group. We keep up with the Jonses in ways that we don't even realise that we're doing it, because being an individual in society these days, bucking the trend, going against it, sees you alienated, pointed at, made fun of. Now, I've been in groups before and organisations and in social settings where there are rules and that everything's fine. And it all goes well until somebody bucks a trend or goes against the rule or says something or does something that's not right, and they get extricated from the group. And the remaining people in the group will sit and have an opinion about it, and those people who are in control or in charge will make fun of those people, just off jokes, just little bits and pieces, just little narky comments. It happens at work too, it happens in all sorts of places. You know what I'm talking about, right? So then that makes anybody in that group, in that social setting, in that thing, anytime they think they might want to individuate out or have an opinion, they're going to shut their mouth because they don't want to be the butt of the jokes. They don't want to be the one put over here in exile from the group, and it discourages people from being individuals. So I just wanted to make this today to say that's, I think, the core cause of people that I talk to in coaching, the people that I talk to that are unhappy versus the people that I talk to that are happy and living their best life and seem to have it all together. It's not about what they have, it's not their job title, it's not their friendship group, it's not their car, it's not their suburb. I could go into all sorts, it's not their pay grade, nothing. It's about being able to be more of their authentic self in their everyday life, in their job, in their social circle, in their everyday. It's their comfortability with that, without giving it too much thought about that person doesn't like it, I better not say that. No. And these people aren't nasty. they aren't people that you look at and think, oh, you know, they're friendless or they're anything like that. They're not. They just found their comfortability because they don't need to be given outside validation to know that they're okay and that their moral compass is their moral compass and their standards are their standards and their core beliefs are their core beliefs. They don't push them onto others either. They just be who they are in the world. And they go out there and their energy is free. You can feel it, you can see it, you can sense it. And if you sit and think about this a little bit, you'll know that you've got friends or people that you know that are like that. And they are the odd ones out in the world right now. But I do believe that they are growing. I believe the last few years have shown a lot of people have stood in their sovereignty, stood in their authenticity, their individuality, and seen it not as something to hide or something to fear, but something to actually embrace and live day to day. And once you're in that sort of a state, you don't care what everybody else thinks. And that's not in a uppity, rude, I'm better than anybody else way that you don't care. You just don't go out there for the validation because you get it from yourself. You feel in your own body, in your own self, how you sleep at night, what you do, whether that sits well with your moral compass, with your core values, or it doesn't, and you don't do what doesn't fit. Some people have left jobs, some people have left friendship groups, some people have moved countries, towns, cities, some people have done all sorts of things. Some people have gone off grid. Some people have gone from the very, very top of their absolutely like what society would consider the best career ever and their name, and gone to something that society sees as really, really terrible. Gardening, making coffee, art, helping people. And they're the happiest they've ever been because it's not based on their pay packet, their social standing. It's based on what they are. So I just want to close this up today by saying just be careful. Keeping up with the Joneses creeps in. And we all think that we don't do it, but we do. And it's actually pushed into us by the standards and the carrot that we're chasing that we never get to. By doing all the things to tick the boxes to get the gold star from somebody who they've decided what the rules are for that gold star, and really that gold star doesn't mean anything outside of that little lane. And if that lane is not where you're comfortable, that gold star at the end of the day when you get it isn't going to give you the validation and the feeling that you think it's going to, because it's just for that one particular thing. It's not about you. And you may have sold your soul to get the gold star and at the end of it realise, I have just... what a waste of time. It didn't mean anything. It only meant something for that person who was issuing the gold star. Okay, I hope that made sense. I hope that it's helped somebody with their perspective. I think we all go out there and do the best that we can with the knowledge that we've got. And I know I certainly did that for years and years and years. And I did some things maybe in my life that had I had a little bit of better perspective, a bit more forward thinking, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have suffered so much. Maybe those around me wouldn't have suffered so much in the choices that I made. And I just want to help other people to find that earlier in life so that they can have less time where they're unhappy, where they're trying to fulfill, trying to find stuff, trying to get validation, and do the work to find the inner validation, to set yourself happy with yourself, know who you are, know how you want to do that in the world, and step forward and try all those things authentically so that at the end of the day, you feel good about yourself, and then everything else falls into place from there. Okay, thank you so much. If you got to the end, you are. Good for you. Thank you. Thanks for spending time with me. And I hope to talk to you again really soon in the next video. Take care.